Because of the election season, I compiled a list of the highest approval ratings for presidents at the end of their terms.
I think this will be a tough list to get all five of them, but I think I can narrow it down and figure out which one's um, probably left off as being the most beloved. But we'll see.
What's your first
All
guess?
right, all right. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna try going in order, which I think.
Okay.
Starting from the earliest, making on the list, I'm going to start with Dwight D. Eisenhower. He was a general in World War II. I think. I think he probably had a fairly high approval rating when he was in office.
As not a bad guess. That was number three, actually. And I think
Okay, there we go. Okay.
I think you're thinking of that farewell address that was extremely positive and had a lot of highly acclaimed. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a really good guess.
I
What's your
was wondering if the U2 problem was going to affect that at all, but I was that was a safe
okay.
guess. All right, I'm going to say his the next president line. I'm going to say JFK.
No, actually.
He's not on the list. Okay, I
You,
was
you know,
wondering if the assassination was going to change anything about that.
no,
So just getting that out of the way.
you
All
know,
right,
I don't know.
I'm going to go.
Maybe because this is at the end of their term, so he never really finished his term. So maybe that's why he didn't have the highest approval rating.
Well, maybe he was at the time. I know he didn't was in office for a long time, but All right, I'm going to start. I'm going to do the biggest one I can think of. Number one's got to be Ronald Reagan, right? He won 49 states in his second election term. Like he's got to be number one.
You're slightly off. Actually, number two.
He's number two.
Number
Okay,
two. And
goodness. Okay,
Yeah, he's a classic. I mean, Gorbachev, tear down
yeah.
that wall. I mean, all that stuff. Classic
Mhm.
1980s. I mean, any more
Okay,
guesses?
so I'm gonna go with. Hmm. See, this is hard to know because at what point in their term? Because George W. Bush had 9/11 he had to deal with, and right after that, he won the election handily. After that, but
The Iraq War.
same. And I'll say George W. Bush.
Not you're talking about George Bush Jr., right?
Yeah, W.
No, he's
Not
definitely
H.
he's
Not, yeah, yeah. That was a bad guess.
yeah. I mean, Iraq
Um.
War. Yeah, he didn't look good at the end of that, but
All right. I'll go with a one that I disagree with, but I'm assuming is going to be on this list. Barack Obama.
yeah, you're right there. You're right
Okay.
there. Number
Okay.
four on this list.
Number four. Okay.
He just
Interesting.
made it,
Okay.
kind of, but he's on that list.
Yeah, I figured people liked him, even though he probably had one of the most destructive policies in terms of um, like Americans' race relations. He was a beloved president for some reason. I don't know, but all right. Who who else would there be? Hmm. Some of these would be easier for the disapproval list.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford is not on this list. That's actually surprising that you
Yeah, that was
that. I mean, he only one term. Like,
yeah. I'm thinking,
well,
yeah,
not even one term.
that was
3 years.
well, that was a disapprove. That was a high disapproval president. Um, hmm,
You're not gonna get. I mean, some of these are quite hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was a little surprised when I saw some of these.
Nixon ain't one of those. There's no way.
No, he's not.
There's no way.
I'm gonna give.
So I'm reversing it in my head.
Yeah,
Like which ones would I think clearly not on the list?
yeah.
Um,
Okay. You,
Clinton would not. I don't think
who you say?
Clinton.
Who you say? You say Clinton? I know you. This is extremely shocking.
And there's no way it can be
He,
Clinton.
he is, dude. He's number
Oh
one.
my
I
goodness.
swear, number one. And he got like
Number one is
super high.
Bill
Number
Clinton.
one, 66, dude. He was like really high. And like that's actually a lot for a president. I mean, just also considering the fact that just like only like a year before that, he had that huge controversy with Monica Lewinsky. I did not have.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised to be honest with you. I thought it would
The
be
only
on the other side.
the only biggest sex pervert to ever enter the White House was
Yeah.
Bill Clinton. Only second to JFK, but I mean, like, oh my goodness, I would have never guessed that one.
But
Yeah.
all right,
So then there's just number five left.
just number five.
Number five. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go George H.W. Bush.
Yep, you're not wrong.
There you go.
That's
Okay.
what I was asking which Bush you were saying earlier because like I didn't know which one.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe.
I should have guessed H.W. Bush more because he was predecessor to Reagan,
Yeah.
obviously, and it was presided over the fall of the Soviet Union, and so that should have made it clear to me. So
I mean, I'm a little surprised. The only reason I say that because he only had one term in president, so you'd think because of that. But I think it's because Bill Clinton was so popular in his first term, like when he
mhm.
got in office, that like that canceled out his the reason why he
Well,
got.
apparently he was the number one highest approval rated. I judge
That's
that list
that's
that
at
you
the end of
find
term two. That's crazy.
because I don't know about that, but
Telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
I'll surrender to whatever list you found, I
I
guess.
could
But
I
the
could
fact that all right,
you want me to show you the list? I'll show you the list. It's about Gallup and some presidential project thing.
I
I'll
don't
show you at
know.
the end. I'll show you at the
But
end.
regardless,
Okay. We're done with the top five highest approval ratings. But now, like, let's see if you guess the least approval rating. I think you're gonna have
I
a.
think I named a couple of those already. So
I think I won't tell you though, but yeah, you might have. You might have. Okay.
yeah.
What's your first
All
guess?
right, I'll go first one. I'm going Carter.
Carter.
Record like people had lines of just to get their gas. Yeah, hostage situation stuff. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
the peanut farmer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just made it though.
Okay.
You're right, but he just made it number five.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I was surprised too. He only had one
Okay.
term as president before Ronald Reagan, who is
Hmm.
obviously the second on the highest approval rating list. But
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter, that is it is quite surprising, and
Okay.
also that he let the Iranian Revolution take place too, which was a disaster. Like I think you mentioned the hostage situation, it was a disaster.
Hmm.
Any more guesses?
Yeah. All right. Now Nixon makes sense here.
Nixon, yeah, he's the OG, the goat of the highest approval rating. He is number one on that list. Not very shocking. Not very shocking.
No, no, no,
I think he actually
no.
did.
When you have to you have to leave it on your own terms. I mean, just because you're getting impeached, then
Yeah,
understandable. You
yeah.
gotta be left out of there.
I'm playing the devil's advocate
Um.
here. I'm playing the devil's advocate
Yeah.
here. I actually thought Richard Nixon like wasn't awful. Like some of his foreign policy, like Contra, like towards Detente, towards China and the Soviet Union, was actually extremely effective. And how he got out of the Vietnam War at the end when it was a disaster. I mean, I think it was better than presidents in the past, like
Mhm.
to Lyndon Johnson, how he handled the Vietnam War. I think he actually did a decent job. So
Sure. Well, if you're gonna just the Vietnam War, I'd say yes.
yeah,
Obviously, he's the reason why we ever had any success in the Vietnam War, and then chose to fail afterwards. But that was after Watergate.
yeah,
But that's an argument for another day. We could say because he did open up trade to China, which leads China to be a superpower house, gold standard stuff. But that's a conversation for another day.
yeah.
Talk about bad presidents here. I'm gonna say the next one is gonna be Ford, the following president
Ford is
after him. He got a ton of heat because he pardoned Nixon pretty short after his administration. That kind of cost him later on. So I'm gonna say Ford.
Ford is not on that list, actually, surprisingly.
Goodness gracious.
I know you're right.
Okay.
He only had 2 years, and that was because of Richard.
Yeah.
But so it is quite surprising that he didn't make that list. But maybe that's because
Mhm.
he only had 2 years. So he
Yeah,
wasn't.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he couldn't be a president to hate that much yet. So
Right. All right. I'm gonna say I know Donald Trump had a pretty low approval rating. I'm gonna say he's on that list.
yep, he is right
Okay.
below Nixon at number two spot. Surprising because
He does.
favorite in
He
this
hasn't
election. But
he is probably one of the most undeserved presidents to have such a high approval rating, but he does, and that's what are you going to do about it? But yeah, I knew that
yeah,
was going to be on that list.
I mean, it might change. That might change afterwards. We'll see if he gets elected
Yep.
in a couple
Mhm.
well, in a short bit here. But any more? Who'd you guess? You only have a couple more.
We have
Might be shocking.
3 and 4 left, right?
3, 4. Yep.
3 and 4 left. Okay. Biden's not on this list, right?
No, but he hasn't
Okay.
officially ended his term yet. So
Yeah, I know.
maybe
I know
people
he's
get on that
just
list. Maybe we should do another video when Joe Biden gets on that list.
well, he'll be number because he'll be number 3, I think, if all things stay the same, because he only has 2 or 3 point approval rating more than Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump's at number 2, then Joe Biden's probably right up there as well. Um,
Should have happened.
who? I said Clinton. What other presidents have I not named? Um,
Uh,
oh, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson is not on this list. That guy
Oh,
weaseled
okay.
his way out for 8 years, surprisingly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, not on this list.
Okay, then George W. Bush.
Yep, I was gonna say the
Okay.
Bush family. They got one in the highest, one in the highest disapproval rating. So it's pretty funny. Yeah, George Bush,
See that
disaster. Yeah,
see that high approval rating that he got right after 9/11 is confusing me now.
yeah,
I was pretty young during that time, so I mean,
yeah.
it's hard for me to always remember what's going on.
That's fair enough point. I mean, Patriot Act, horrible, horrible. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
just think that Bush way gone Iraq. I mean, partially it's probably not him; it's Dick Cheney. But I mean, still, I mean, he shouldn't have
Mhm.
left. But all right, your last one, Cooper. This one is surprising. This might take a couple attempts, so we'll see if you get it.
I don't know what other presidents I haven't said yet. The only one that's after 1950, JFK? Is he on
No,
that list?
no. He's not on that list.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
again,
not in any list. Who am I forgetting?
you said it. This is okay. I'll give you a hint. It
Give
is
me a
an
hint. Give me a hint.
it is an old timer. All right, it is an old
An
timer.
old timer, as in an old person, or as
Like
in
old
an
timer,
old
like
president?
well, I guess they're all pretty much all old, but like an old timer means of like like back in the early days of when this list was created.
Um. Oh, Truman.
Truman. Yep.
Truman.
Right. '94.
Okay.
The guy who nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't know if I liked him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, did okay things. Some good, some bad. I think
He did see.
World War II. That's an argument discussion we can have for another day.
That
But
is another argument.
okay, I understand. And he was what spot? Number 3 or
Four.
4? 4?
Surprising.
Oh, that's kind of
You
surprising.
think
Hey,
Jimmy
yeah.
Carter would be? I mean, maybe 5, but you think Jimmy Carter would be 4, but I guess not. I mean,
I
I'm a
thought
big
I
fan.
thought Jimmy Carter would be much higher than
Yeah.
that. But all right, well, I guess I don't know whatever list you found that from, but those are the top 5 most disapproved presidents that have existed since World War II.